After 4 long years of waiting, Black Myth Wukong was finally released last month. In this review, we'll be answering the questions of was it worth the wait and did it live up to the hype? So join me as we go through this review of Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong is an action RPG and not a Souls like, in my opinion. Overall gameplay and mechanics are similar to that of God of War, and people don't consider that a Souls like, right? The game is essentially a sequel, but also a retelling of the Chinese novel Journey to the West. I'll put some links in a pinned comment below of some videos explaining the story of Journey to the West, as well as some videos diving deeper into the story of this game, which is something these people can explain much better than me, honestly. Basically, we begin the game as Sung Wukong, and we are thrust into a confrontation with the gods, specifically Erlang, the sacred divinity, who is an absolute badass next to Wukong. The fight doesn't go Wukong's way, and he's sealed inside a stone, which is not the first time this has happened to him. He was also birthed from a stone. We then begin our journey as the Destined One, a member of Wukong's people in search of 6 relics that can hypothetically assist in rising Wukong once again from the stone. In terms of gameplay, this game is honestly just a great action RPG. Combat is fantastic and feels great between melee attacks, utilizing spells and transformations that you obtain along the way. There's a decent amount of build variety in the game. You have the ability to respec your skill points at any time from a checkpoint for free. There are armor set bonuses, and spirit skills give you bonuses to your stats as well. Truth be told, there are about 90 or so bosses in the game, and initially I wasn't really feeling the boss rush mode until the mechanics of the game really clicked for me. I just wanted to throw that out there for those that may not be fans of fighting lots of bosses, but the enemy variety and boss designs were honestly top notch. The game should take about 30 to 40 hours to complete, and obviously you can add much more time on top of that for completionists out there. I do, however, have a few critiques. One would be that the game probably could have used a map. Nothing too crazy, but something you could reference. There were a few sections that were pretty open and had me going around in circles because things looked very samey in the landscape. And to go alongside this, there were a lot of inconsistencies in areas where you could go versus bumping into an invisible wall. And I think that is where a map would have helped a lot. The game has a journal section where you can get tons and tons of lore about the world, characters, enemies, etc. But I think instead of reading pages upon pages of lore, the story could have been presented better. For instance, why we as the Destined One were just arriving at all these different places. It was never really explained why we ended up in the places that we did or why we were fighting the bosses that we did. This information very well could have been in the journal entries, but like I said, they're pretty lengthy to read. Sound design and visuals in the game are top notch. The game runs on Unreal Engine 5 and looks just incredible. However, there were a few instances during boss fights with a lot of elemental effects. The frame rate tanked on PS5, which I was playing on. I remember one instance I had to quit the game and load back in as it was unplayable during an intense boss fight. So that unfortunately would be another complaint I had. As far as replayability, there are certainly incentives to go into New Game Plus cycles. However, I don't believe I'll be doing any of that. You can get new armor and weapons, amongst other things, so I know some people will want to do that. It could be something that I'll visit later on. So, going back to my question at the beginning of the video, was Black Myth Wukong worth the wait? Did it live up to the hype? Is it worth buying? The answer to those questions are a resounding yes, yes, and yes. In my opinion, the game is worth every single penny. I'm probably not being as detailed in this review as I have in others, but simple truth of it is that the game is great, period. You shouldn't be on the fence about this one. Just go buy it. I think it's a definite contender for game of the year. If you're a player that loves action RPGs and loves the absolutely epic moments in games like God of War, this is a no brainer. Factoring in those few complaints I had with the game, I'd give it an absolute rock solid 9.5 out of 10. If it weren't for those few gripes, it would have been a perfect 10 out of 10, in my opinion. This is a game that has moments in it that you will remember for a very, very long time. So I hope this review helped you out in some way, shape, or form and assists you in making a purchase decision for Black Myth Wukong. So that is going to do it for this one. Hopefully, you are all doing well. Stay tuned. More coming at you. Take care.